Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Man Cave. It is Tuesday, the 14th of January, and we had another really cold last night. I got it down to about 12. That's just crazy cold. And so it's just eating up the wood. Like it eats the wood anyway, let alone when it's that cold. It really gets, throwing some wood through that thing. But so far, so good. We're staying warm enough. It's just a lot of extra work. Did you see that Itchy Boots finally made it back into the quote-unquote federated part of Iraq? I don't know if that's the right term, but there's a federal Iraq and another Iraq. I didn't know there was that Iraqs were split like that. But anyway, she had to go into Iran and then back into the other part of Iraq because she's basically wanting to just tour around through Iraq is the main goal. But it took her like all day to get that paperwork straightened out. They apparently stamped her incoming visa with the wrong stamp or something, and then they wouldn't let her out. I tell you, that girl goes through more stuff. But they got her, one guy there in Iraq it was, I get, or was that in Iran? I don't know. I think it was after she got back into Iraq. The one guy fixed her headlight, and I don't know. I think maybe, I don't think he fixed her starter, but he fixed something else too. In her wiring for her, and didn't charge her anything. Everywhere she goes, they won't let her pay for anything, which it's just not what I expected. I don't know. It's pretty cool. She's having a good time, it looks like. This morning, I spent the whole morning doing honeydew activities. Here is a short video on that. Here's how I spent my morning. It doesn't look like much, but I made all of these, and I made all of these. These are a honeydew project for Sue. You can see those are maple and those are walnut. Now I've got to make a bunch like that out of oak to get 3 different colors. She's doing an art type project, kind of an art woodworking project. And anyway, it's up to me to make all the parts, and I'll cut out all the parts and everything, and then she'll put it all together. So I'm not sure who's doing this project, but anyway, that's how I spent the whole morning. And you might think, well, that's not very much work for the whole morning, but what you don't understand is, I'm sawing them to a certain thickness, and then I'm thickness sanding them down to an exact thickness, because all the pieces have to be an exact thickness. That's just kind of like a clue that they're all going to fit together eventually, and they have to be cut into a specific shape, which I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to tell you any more about it other than that, because I'll show you what the final product looks like once she gets it finished. But it is kind of an art project. Excuse me. And it's going with her remodeling thing that she did. It's just one more piece for that. Well, let's see. Then I did a real short video clip here on the shingles to give you a status on that. One more tidbit of interest. I've checked the moisture content and all these shingles, just on the top ones. I didn't try to get down in the middle. But the top ones are at only like 8 to 10%, which is really good. So it seems to be working. I need to make a whole bunch more, but the weather's not real conducive, and I have to get myself motivated. Yeah, that second part, that's the hard part. Getting motivated. I'd probably be motivated if the weather was better, but gee whiz, with this crummy weather and having to cut so much firewood and stuff, it just doesn't make me feel like doing a whole lot of other things. Let's see. Okay, you remember the Lidar image of yesterday, which was this. And I told you that if you went basically to the right of this and then up the hill and then over the hill and down the hill, you would there was another Lidar image. Well, here's a picture of that in Lidar form. So in other words, on the left there, that circle there is the known cave. On the left, that circle is the known cave on the top, and then that suspected cave there on the bottom where you see that other little round circle. Well, like I said, if you go to the far right, that other circle is circling what I believe was going to be a cave. I didn't know what it was for sure, but I wanted to go over there and see. Now, that's actually just off our property. It's about, I'm going to say, actually, now I think about it, it's about exactly 3/8 of a mile away from the other cave. Just about exactly 3/8 of a mile. The reason I know that is because of the way the sections are laid out, and we're basically right on one of the section lines there at those caves, real close. Well, anyway, I did take a trip over the hill and down to that, and so here is a video about that. Well, we're on the edge of my property. Here's one of the main trails that goes along the ridge. And my property line would run through here somewhere and pretty much just go straight that way. Well, this trail curves around in different places. Actually, it goes that way a long ways for a while, and then it curves back around. The point being that we're just now ready to step off of my property, and down here is where I think the cave may have been. So I'm going to walk down this hill, and then if I find something, I'll turn the camera back on. Well, my friends, I just walked down that hill. It may not look like much on camera, but I'm going to tell you something. That's a hike. And coming down this in this snow, it's steep. That is so steep, it's hard to explain. And guess what I found right here? It probably doesn't show up on camera again, but if I get back to the edge here, you might get some sense of how deep that is. That's about 12 foot deep at least, maybe 15 feet deep. It's straight down. That's a sinkhole for sure. That means there's a cave there. This is for sure a sinkhole. I don't know what would have dug that. I don't think anything dug this. Although that looks like a mound of dirt. I'll be honest, it does look like a mound of dirt. But boy, if somebody dug this, they dug it a long, long time ago. Because there's all these trees. But that definitely is a sinkhole. There's no question. Just curious if anything else comes around this way. It drops off quite a bit more down there. So this continues to go down the hill. This is an odd place for somebody to dig anything. I don't think this was dug. I think this is a sinkhole. What's weird is curious is why there's such a big mound right here. I can't figure that part out. Other than maybe there was some sort of a landslide because of the sinkhole. I don't know. Weird. Very strange. But you can bet I'm not going down there. Probably fall 200 foot to my death. I have no idea what that would be, but that is deep, man. And it's just a perfectly round hole. So I'd bet money there's a cave down there. Okay, I don't know if you can see that rock down there right about in the center of the screen. I threw that down there. I've got another big rock here. I've actually got it in my left hand. I'm going to switch cameras in my left hand now, and I'm going to toss this bigger rock right about in that same general area and see if it falls through. Nope. But it does seem kind of mushy. I was hoping to hit over that way a little further. I hit the wrong way. But I know for sure that's a sinkhole. There's no doubt about that. I'm out of breath. Sinkhole's way down there. Way down there. That's a long way. That's 100 yards down to the sinkhole. And this, I know it doesn't look that steep, but that is steep. This is flat. This would be flat.
that's where that's at. It's steep. On this snow and ice, it's all I could do to walk out of that. And I could do it. We're still not to the top, but we're getting close. There's the ranger up ahead of us there. I don't know if you can see it yet or not. Well, like I said, at least it proves that I don't think the heart and the lungs are going to be my downfall, as they're holding up. But I still get out of breath. Well, after climbing back up that big hill, I came straight over here and loaded this. And let me tell you something. A much smaller log than this one weighed 70 pounds. That's a 100-pound log right there, guarantee you. That one's probably 80. That one's probably about 80. These are probably 40 for these little ones. But man, and some of those are heavier yet. Like that one there is really heavy. That's about all I could do right now, and I don't really want to put any more on here because that's very heavy load on this thing already. Well, my friends, the larger of the two caves is right down there, and then the other cave is about right there. And this is that third area that I said I think there's a cave. The reason I say that is because when it's really wet weather, there's a big flow of water that comes out of right there. And then the Lidar shows a depression in the ground right here. And as you can see, there's no depression. I don't see any depression, but the Lidar shows it. And I would say, based on the fact that I found that sinkhole on my first attempt, I walked right straight to it, I would say the Lidar doesn't lie. I would say there's a hole there somewhere. So I'm going to try to get the backhoe into this area eventually, not while it's snow on the ground and all that, but I'll wait a while. But I'm going to try to dig this area out and see if we can find a cave. Because based on what I'm seeing, there's a cave there. Especially knowing that there's a big, huge spring that comes out of the ground right there. And I mean, it's a lot of water. It's not a little bit. You know, it would be like turning on about 20 garden hoses at once, something like that. Maybe more than that even. So, you know, I know there's something there.
Well, maybe it's wishful thinking too. You know, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure there is a cave there. I already pretty much had my mind made up that there's a cave there before I saw the Lidar data. And the Lidar data, as you can see, when we go back to well, either one of those images, that image there on the left, that left circle, the darker of the circles is the actual big cave, and then that lighter circle down below, that's the spot we were standing at. And you could tell there, I mean, like it was just smooth ground, and yet it shows it's not smooth ground according to the Lidar. So I'm pretty convinced there's something there. I don't know what it is for sure, but it's worth investigating in my opinion. So I'll probably do that when I get around to it. Don't send me any of those wooden round tuits. I've already got several of those. Let's go to the comments. Paul Lanier looks like he was number one in there, and he says, "Hi, crowd." And got 146 viewers right now, by the way. Paul Lanier says, "Jerry, there is an old gent I know that found 1 by 3 inch wood from an old Baton Rouge, Louisiana home built over 130 years ago, and it makes a tone ringing sound when tapped. Keep it," I said. Yeah, I'd be curious to know what kind of wood that is. Is it a spruce or a pine, or is it a hardwood, or just what is it, I wonder? And then Paul says, 1x3 board he has can be a great brace making material and has a high count on growth rings. This guy builds harps for students. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, if it's a softwood, it might make a real good top, and if it's a hardwood, it might make a real good back and sides. Let's see, moving on down. Tom Armstrong says, if you find more Indian graves or artifacts, how will you protect them so thieves can't steal them? Well, if I register them again, if I do that with the state, and I would if I found a grave, I would probably sit out there with my gun. I'd definitely put up game cameras. And, yeah, I don't know. Trust me, you wouldn't want to be there if I caught you. You would not want to be there. Let's see, moving on down. Tom Armstrong, will your outdoor furnace burn coal also? Well, I don't think so. I mean, I guess it's a possibility. It's just a flat box. It ain't got no particular grate to it, which is, in my opinion, kind of the shortcoming. You know, they claim that it's the easiest furnace to clean out because you can just shovel it right out of there. There's no grate for it to fall through, and you don't have to get down and monkey with some drawer down on the ground. I agree with all that. That it is the easiest one if you let the fire go out. But who in their right mind on 400 gallons of water in this kind of cold temperature is going to let the fire go out? You know, that's the last thing I want to do. So it's a pain in the neck to clean the ash out of there, if you ask me. It's the hardest furnace I've ever used to clean the ash out of. But no, it really wouldn't handle coal. And even if it did, I wouldn't be interested because, you know, I don't know where you'd find coal around here. I ain't never seen any. It'd be a long way off, I'm sure, if you could find it. Now, back when I was a kid, years and years and years ago, I remember my grandmother had a boarding house down in St. Louis City proper, and it was a 3-story family flat type thing, and she rented out the upper 2 floors, I think it was, and they heated that building with coal. I do remember that, but that was in the St. Louis City area, you know, and they probably had it shipped in by train, you know. But I don't know that anybody does that anymore. Ronald, let's see. Cup of Cool. I don't think they are Honeydew, but more like Honey Sue projects. And I really like your red shirt. Looks good on you. Thank you. I appreciate that. If you like my red shirt that I'm wearing today, be sure to click the thumbs up. Ronald Todd watched a video the other day about a sawmill owner who heats his house with a furnace like yours and said the bigger the pieces of wood, the more efficient it burns when it's cold. Well, yeah, that's kind of a for sure, but, you know, I put them in, they're about all I can do to lift them as they are, so I can't get them much bigger. You know, I find it funny, I really do, that people, they brag on their outdoor furnace. I can put a 4-foot log in this furnace. Can you lift a 4-foot log? I can barely lift these logs I'm putting in here, and I cut them at 20 inches, you know, and they're, you know, 14, 18 inches around. If they were 4 foot long, there's not a chance. I couldn't pick them up. So, you know, I always think it's funny. But mine, actually, you could put a 5-foot log in mine, no problem at all, if you could fit it in there. I mean, if you could pick it up. Like I said, the next bigger one that you could get, at the time I bought it, at least with Central Boiler, that company, which is one of the big name companies, that was the biggest furnace they offered for residential. And the next biggest one was for commercial, and you loaded it with a pallet fork. And I have my regrets that I didn't buy that one. I really do. Bill Mumbo, maybe that's where the alien spaceship landed. Maybe so. You might have something there. It's Bigfoot's house. He's got the ceiling, that hole covered over and propped up there where you can't get down through it. That's what it is. Steve Mays, here in my part of Kentucky, there are holes like that where they dug iron ore. Maybe they test dug looking for silver. Well, that is a possibility. I would say that. But in Missouri, we have what we call the karst landscape, and it's limestone, and it's very, very, very common for sinkholes. They're pretty much all over the place. In fact, I know where there's another one up above the house here, up on government ground. It's pretty common, and I'm pretty positive that's a sinkhole. The only thing that throws me is why there's a big mound around it. That was the only thing that throws me. I don't know. I really don't know. I just don't know about that. That's what's weird. But it's not unlikely to have a, like a landslide, or, how the hills would come out in terraces and things. They do that all over the place here. And so it's possible that's what that was like it just came down and was like a terrace, and then the sinkhole eventually worked its way down through there. I'm pretty sure it's a sinkhole too for another reason. First of all, you can kind of see the ground around it. You can see it keeps falling in, it looks like, over time. I mean, it's not like it's falling in a big mass. It just slowly falls in all the time. And it's going somewhere, and it's not full of water. So I'm pretty sure that I would bet, I'd make a pretty big, sizable monetary bet that there's a cave under there. I mean, I'm that sure of it. Bill Webb, good afternoon, Jerry and friends. Yep, hi, Bill. And then Steve Mays, I live in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, and our hills are about like yours. Look. Yeah, and these are good steep hills. I mean, they're way steeper than that camera makes them look. I'm telling you right now. In fact, I was thinking as I was going down to there, if this was cleared off, you're talking about a ski resort. I mean, there's one up by Eureka, Missouri called, what's it called? I don't know. I know it, but I can't think of it. Hidden Valley Resort. Well, this would be equivalent to that. I mean, in fact, you could have started right where I parked the Ranger, which is right on the top, and you could have just made one push, and you could have probably skied for 2 miles. I mean, seriously, it was a long way down through there. I mean, it goes a lot further than I went, and especially if you were skiing at a slight angle on that hill, you could have went a long, long, long way. Let's see. Wavy Gravy. Since it started snowing and getting cold, all my wife and mother-in-law do is stare through the window. If it gets any worse, I might have to let them back in. They're funnier when you take that long to read them because you're building up, If you could read that all at once, it wouldn't be as funny. Tom Armstrong, maybe the crater is one of the metal detector digs from your younger years when you had more energy. Yeah, it could be. Like I told you, they in the comment about the silver, well, they did dig silver on our property at one time, at least according to, well, I'm fairly sure it's true because the backup of that was I found some documentation that two mining companies had leases on our property at the time this old man told me they were digging silver on our property. He said it was back in, I think he said around, about World War I time, really. It sounded like that was about the time frame, maybe slightly after that. He said he was about 16 years old, breaking the horses here on this farm, and they were hauling, silver ore out of here. Well, the only place I've seen where that looks like that's a thing is back there where I showed you that swampy, we have like a swamp back there. It's almost a pond, but it's just really just a hole, and it's spring fed. And around there, you can see where the banks, there's like banks around in kind of a big, large bowl shape. It's not deep, though, so either they filled it back in or something. I don't know. But that's where I think they must have been digging. But anyway, it's just you didn't pay any extra for that. Let's see. Tom Armstrong, maybe the crater is one of your... Oh, that's one I already got. Let's see. Bill Rhodes, good afternoon. The world is full of fools. Well, I ain't going to argue with you about that. Gino Hitch, hi, Jerry, and all of your dump truck was together. Can you get it up on the hill to haul firewood? There's the one trail that's not quite so steep. I definitely could drive it up there to get it up on top of the hill. Yes, and yeah, it's just getting to it. I definitely am going to get that dump truck back together before too terribly long. But I am, it probably won't be in time to help me much this year. Let's see. Cup of Cool. I remember having black soot in my nose every time I went to my grandmother's house from her coal burner. I didn't like it at all. Bill Rhodes. Jimmy, when I was a kid, we found a sinkhole that was about 14 foot in diameter with a ladder. The ledge went back 30 feet. Yeah, that sinkhole there is deeper than it looked on camera, too. That was every bit of 15 feet straight down, or, 12 foot for sure. And the circumference of it at the top, I would say, was probably 30 foot, maybe not quite that much, 25, somewhere in there. So it's a pretty good size hole. Let's see. Ronald Todd, wavy gravy, filling in for David. Good job. Paul Lanier, where is David Tharp today? I don't know. I don't even know if he has permission to be away, but I didn't see him or hear from him. But anyway, guys, I think that's everything I was going to cover today. Scott says maybe David fell in that sinkhole. Ronald Todd says he's probably flying. Well, he might be. I don't know. I'm hoping it's a good reason, whatever it is. But guys, we will see you tomorrow with something else. I'm not sure what it'll be. I'll probably be doing more of my Honeydew project and trying to get that knocked out. Y'all take care. We will see you tomorrow with something else.